basically a very simple application to personalized learning, internet, a student-oriented classmate-type PC, one-on-one computing. Actually can be used as a group computing as well. Another area that I think is very interesting, and technology can play a big role, and there's going to be a whole session demonstrated here at Cebit on, is healthcare. And if you look at healthcare, there are really two problems. Mature economies have increasing healthcare costs, and it's usually driven by elder people and people with chronic illnesses. And the only way to effectively attack that situation is, in fact, remote diagnostics, remote monitoring, changing the way healthcare is delivered. We like to joke that healthcare is delivered like computing was delivered about 30 or 40 years ago. 30 or 40 years ago, if you were involved in computing, you went to the mainframe computer. Today, if you're ill, you go to the hospital. The hospital is the mainframe computer of 30 years ago. What we really need to do is bring computing and diversify it like we did with personal computing, bring it to the individual. And that means remote diagnostics, remote monitoring, video conferencing, not having the patient go to the doctor's office. That's the challenge we face in mature economies as our populations age. The emerging economies have an entirely different problem, which is most of the people in emerging economies live in rural areas. If you go to rural areas, there are no doctors. The doctors are in the big cities. So you have a disproportionate representation of patients and doctors are geographically isolated from one another. The way you fix that problem as well is you use remote diagnostics, remote monitoring, a practitioner at the local level in communication with a doctor in the city to do remote diagnosis. This can be very simply done with current technology, as long as you have connectivity, as long as you have internet access, as long as you have a few simple diagnostic tools. You can match patient with doctor. There's another kind of variant of this, which you don't think about quite often, but we'd like to show you just a very simple example today, where technology can bring healthcare to remote locations. One remote location you can imagine is if you're working on an ocean-going vessel, a ship, and there are 80 or 85,000 cargo ships in the world with crews on them, which most of the time are at sea with very limited satellite connectivity, or they're at ports, or they're along coastlines where they have very limited connectivity as well. And most people on ships, the crew people, don't really have access to the internet and don't have access to good health care because they're isolated from doctors. And there's an initiative, a crew welfare initiative that's being run today, which is trying to bring connectivity, health care, the internet to these ocean-going vessels. And I'd like to bring Thomas Mueller out, who is really the managing director of umc.global. UMC is Universal Marine Connectivity, right? Did I get that straight?
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit about UMC and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, the UMC Global Network actually stands for Universal Marine Communication. So, as you said, the crews on board the vessels are disconnected from the rest of the world. They're sailing for a month on those vessels, having no connection back home. So this is one major issue. So we set up about 80 major ports worldwide with a wireless broadband infrastructure dedicated to the vessels calling those ports. Beside that, we have set up about 75 coastal area countries, and we do use 3G services, even 20 or 30 miles from shore, without any roaming surcharge for those vessels. So that means, beside the satellite communication, they can stay in touch with home and families and the internet services while sitting near shore or being in the port. As well as having integrated satellite services, they now can do that on the sea as well. But it's not only about communication that solves isolation and homesickness problems for the seafarers. The Crew Welfare Initiative is about to improve the quality of life of seafarers for many other things, like telemedicine and healthcare, what we are going to talk about today. And we have Holger actually in Hamburg on the Cap Santiago, who can actually tell us how that is going to work.
All right, let's talk to Holger.
Hi, Craig. Hi, Thomas. This is Holger, live from the Cap Santiago at the port of Hamburg. How are you at the Cebit?
Well, it's very nice here. It looks. I saw you earlier this morning. You had a heavy jacket on. It must have warmed up a bit in Hamburg.
Yes, the sun has come out a little bit. And what I have here is a mobile device that provides tremendous improvement to medical treatment of seafarers on board vessels. Over the UMC Global Network, we can directly connect to maritime emergency centers around the world. It's easy to transmit cardio data, for example, blood pressure, digital pictures or videos. And as we are talking now, a doctor at such an emergency center could directly talk to me using the UMC Net Hospital service. And as Thomas said, our service works in more than 80 ports, 75 countries near shore, and also at the high sea over satellite. It's a main part of the Global Crew Welfare Initiative.
It sounds excellent. Now, Thomas, what progress have you made? How many ships are equipped with this capability? What happens in the future?
Yeah, actually, in a very short time frame, we started that development in 2005. In a very short time frame, we already subscribed 1,800 vessels globally from the 6 major shipping lines. We are going to progress this with the Crew Welfare Initiative. And also, because of the direct impact to the sailors, we think that it's growing rapidly now to bring more and more of the 85,000 merchant vessels into the service.
Great. Sounds like a great initiative. It's something that people would not normally think about, but it doesn't impact a relatively large number of people, 1.5 million or so.
That's 1.6 million seafarers out there that are disconnected from their 5 million people back home. So it's a 6 million community already.
They just don't go back to their bunk and log into the internet.
That's what they do.
All right.
Well,
Thanks, Thomas.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.